going. 4. This will be fun. Watch this. Ready? I know you're fine. Fine. So, welcome. We're going to do a little demonstration / clinic on club fitting, and really more about body fitting, okay, than club fitting. Most of the time what happens is we do this type of thing in reverse. So we buy a set of clubs off the rack, and then we try to fit our body into those clubs. Golf is kind of the #1 do-it-yourself sport, right? It's kind of like going to Home Depot and grabbing some things and building something and doing it all on your own, and you get okay at it. And the reason why you can get decent at golf in the beginning stages without much help is because the game is really easy. It is really easy. Everything with the club is perfectly designed to hit great shots every time. Okay, the ball is designed to fly as far and as straight as humanly possible. The problem is then we get in between that space and we mess it all up, right? And then what happens is we achieve some level of success doing it our way. We start moving a certain way, we start then manipulating the club, we start doing X number of things, and then we say, all right, now that I've gotten myself this good, doing it my way, I'm going to go get some lessons or a club fitting session. I'm going to try to get better, right? So what I'm here today to talk about is how the body operates and how your clubs are supposed to complement what you're doing with your body. After you go and you get that set of clubs and you buy them off the rack, for example, this 7-iron right here is one that I bought off the rack for myself, right? I can go out and play golf with this 7-iron and play just fine, right? If I set myself up, take my grip properly, make a big, huge turn, kind of hold my knees, twist my body to this point, rotate through, release the club, right? This is what you see in Golf Digest, so this must be correct right here, and then come up to this nice finish. That all looks pretty good. So what I've got is I've got a 7-iron that I'm able to do that with. So what I'm going to do is I'll hit a shot out this direction with this specially designed 7-iron that's perfectly fit for me, right? You guys can tell that from there, I'm sure, that this is the right length. Okay, you see it? So I think I can still hit this 7-iron easily 150 plus yards. The problem is that it's made for a kid that's about this tall. Okay? I don't prescribe to a certain method. I don't say, well, I'm going to teach the Ping fitting system, or I'm going to do the tailor-made fitting system, or the Nike system, or the Titleist system, because every single person's body is different. So I'm not going to have each of my students stand a certain way, make a certain measurement, when one student has a rotator cuff injury, another person has a bad knee, another person has a bad back. Like I said in the beginning, the game of golf is simple. You take a club, you whack a ball, and you try to get it in the hole. If you can move your body efficiently, simply, without injury, you can play golf for a very, very long time, refining your skill over and over and over and over again. If your swing style, if your technique requires you to always tuck the elbow, always drop to the inside, always hold your head down, always do this, this, and this, and you've got 10 things that you're trying to figure out how to pack into a second and a half of a golf swing, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to repeat that over and over again. So my philosophy is to take a look at you, at your body, and figure out how, if I have kind of a future you in mind, right? So if you went to a personal trainer and the personal trainer said, okay, I want you to buy clothes right now that are 2 sizes smaller or 3 inches smaller around the waist. You're going to go buy those now, and then that shirt and that pants that's smaller, that's going to cost you $1,500 to $2,000, and then you're going to work your way into that, right? A golfer has an opportunity. You have an opportunity to make an adjustment in your body. You have an opportunity to make changes in your swing that are going to produce far greater results than one little tweak in the club, right? So the club itself, whacks the ball has to fly through the air. The ball itself has dimples on it, creates spin. The spin does some cool things in the air. It does upward spin, right spin, left spin. As the ball is flying through the air, it peaks at a certain point. So it has an initial launch angle, it has a apex, it has a descent angle. Those are all things that are captured with launch monitors. Those are all things that can be seen even with the naked eye. You can see a trajectory of a ball takeoff and have a perfect flight. You can have one that go up and dies like a wounded duck, right? So even a golfer can hit a shot and recognize, yeah, that was well struck, that's going to take off and fly. So what I'm going to do is just hit a couple of shots for you. I have the little mini 7-iron. I'm going to play it down the fairway. Do the best I can to strike it as well as I can. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm going to try another one. Strike it down the fairway. Little kid's 7-iron, right? Okay. Now, I think that's pretty good. What do you guys think? Is that okay? Right? Now, those are right next to each other. I put a little extra on the second one. I could take this club right now and a set of these and go out and play a great game of golf. You guys don't have to, I don't need to twist your arm for you to see that I can probably do that. The question is, should I? Because tomorrow, I'm going to be really sore in my back and my hips, my neck, and then I'm going to do it 6 days in a row, and then I'm going to do it 3 months in a row, and then I'm going to do it 30 years, right? And then what's going to happen is I'm going to create a repetitive stress syndrome, a repetitive stress disorder. Anybody who's done any typing, driving, anything for a long period of time, repetitive stress causes an injury. Your golf game, if you practice and play a lot, that's something that you're doing a lot of. You're creating a repetitive motion. If that repetitive motion is causing stress on your body, you're going to sustain some form of injury. You're also going to have to create manipulations and compensations with your body. So this is one 7-iron. Here is 6-iron, right? So you can see the difference. This 6-iron is 3 inches longer than standard, and this one is obviously not. So I'm going to hit this one now. I'll hit a couple of shots with it. So now, instead of bending over where I was, now I'm going to stand up really tall. So I'm making similar type swing. Okay, I'm going to hit another one. Okay, so I've hit 4 shots, 2 with the small one, 2 with the long one. They both went about the same distance. The question becomes, which one is correct for me? Or is it neither, and is it the real one that I have hiding over here? The answer is, the club that fits my body in the way I'm able to move simply and efficiently, that's the club I should be using. If you have a lower back issue, what I'm going to have everybody do right now is just kind of stand up. I'll just do a little experiment with you, okay? Everybody stand up. Pretend you have a club in your hand. Okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to tilt forward into your setup position. Right? Now what I want you to do, be careful, take your arms, crisscross them across your chest. And what I want you to do is just kind of spin your body back and forth like this. Now I want you to stand up straight. Now I want you to tilt less than that, so just a tiny degree. Then I want you to do the same spinning. Okay, then I want you to stand up tall again. And I want you to go more than the first one, so add extra angle. And then do the same spinning again. okay? So what you're going to experience is that one of those puts a burden on your body and one of them doesn't. And the position that you put yourself, you can have a seat now, the position that you put yourself has a tremendous impact on the outcome of the shot. If you're having to put yourself into an angle that you can't possibly sustain because it's going to hurt your back, then what do you think is going to happen in motion on the 14th hole after 3 hours of being out on the golf course? So, as a person makes a swing, what's important is that they, in your own body, are able to tap into whatever resource you have for power. If you have knee issues and back issues, you want to be able to stand tall when you swing. If you have elbow issues and shoulder issues, it's okay to go ahead and bend your arm. You don't have to have these locked arms and this posture. You don't have to tilt forward, stick your butt out, get your back flat, hold the angle, and do all this stuff, because what's going to happen is you can do that in the 10th minute to the 30th minute of a golf lesson, or the 10th minute to the 30th minute of a practice session. Even before that, the first 10 minutes is a struggle, just trying to figure out how to get into that posture, right, and how to make contact. And then after that, when you try to sustain it day after day and week after week, it's very, very taxing on your body. So going back to my first statement, we buy a set of clubs off the rack. That's how we start to learn the game. And then we try to fit our body into that. So whatever compensations we have are typically started around the first set of clubs that we started to use. Then we run into issues. We get older. Is anybody less flexible now than they were 10 years ago, or less strong, or whatever? It's natural, right? As an instructor, I always give my students an option. You can get fitter, healthier, more flexible, or let's make the clubs make it easier for you. And then what I typically say is, these are the two extremes. You can get super fit, super healthy, super flexible, and over here we can go to a full extreme where you don't have a single tilt in your spine, right? If a back issue or a back bend is an issue, I can have my students stand up and basically stand as straight as they can like this. Now you're not going to have any knee and leg and hip and back issues. You're going to be able to stand straight up, swing your arms straight up, and swing through. That swing would kind of look like this. Right? So the fact that I didn't really hardly move my body at all, and all I did was kind of swing my arms through that space, that put very little burden on my body. The ideal scenario would be if we kind of met somewhere in the middle. When I work with someone, I don't necessarily say, okay, well, your clubs need to be 2 inches longer, or 3 inches longer, or 1 inch longer. There's many, many factors. Shaft length, grip size, lie angle, the weight of the club, the type of shaft. Is it steel? Is it graphite? But usually one of the first things that I'm able to recognize right away is my student is standing over the ball like this, trying to hit their shot. And I look at this and I go, that's a round hole. And this player is trying to put a square peg right into this round hole. It would be much easier if they did it from here. Okay? So one of the first things I say is, look, don't worry about changing all your swing. You've got 20 years of creating that swing. Let's figure out how you can stand to the ball. And one of the main reasons why I have my students stand and have a much more comfortable stance is because of injury, right? If you're manipulating the club and you're bending and you're doing all these things, that's a repetitive stress situation. You're going to cause something to fail, either your golf shot or your body, right? Because it's very difficult to sustain this position, so what's going to happen is you're going to go up to here in your backswing, and then you're going to try to figure out, okay, how do I get back down to here? And then you're going to finish up here in your follow-through. So what I do is I look at that and I say, well, if you're going to here on your backswing, and you're going to here on your follow-through, let's just skip the whole dip and drop and flip at the bottom. Let's just get a club that now when you stand up to it, you're up here, you actually hit the ball, and then you finish up here again. Okay? So, like I said, this is body awareness. This is injury prevention. And what this is me looking at you and saying the future you, the new you, needs to stand this way and swing this way because you'll strike the ball more consistently and you'll play the game for a lot longer. Some people jump into that and they love it right away. They get the club set, they love it, they get the grip set, they get the shafts, and they stand up tall and they swing. And they feel like they got 20 years better just in one lesson. And sometimes they don't even come back. They just are happy doing what they're doing, standing tall and hitting it further and straighter and less wear and tear on their body. Other times they come back and they say, well, you know, we need to kind of tweak this a little bit. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And that's a majority of people because they're interested in actually improving as a golfer. They know that the club isn't the entire answer. There's a little bit of coaching that goes along with it. And then the other person says, well, this is way too different. I really can't handle the change. I tried it and I'm not going to do it. And that's fine. My goal is to help you get better. If I can help you identify some ways that you can swing the club easily, more repetitively, simpler, efficiently, then that's what I want to do. So that's the theory that I have adapted toward. And the reason why I've really sunken my teeth into this theory is because I've got validation from top physical therapists in the world, top doctors in the world, top chiropractors in the world. I've got one physical therapist that I work hand in hand with. He's going to be doing seminars with me. And some of his clients are like Lee Westwood. You might have recognized that name. There are some professionals that he works with. He spends most of his time trying to fix their bodies. And he looks at me and says, Craig, you're right on track. If we could work together, you could help fix their swing at the same time that I help fix their body. And the way we're going to do that is actually by doing neither a swing instruction or a body adjustment. It's going to be an equipment thing that fits in the middle, right? So one last simple analogy. If I said, all right, I have a size 8 shoe and it works for everybody. Everybody go and put on the size 8 shoe and let's have a foot race. The person who is actually a size 8 shoe is probably going to run the fastest, right? The person who's actually a size 6 will run probably the next fastest because they've got a little bit of room in there to swing. The person who's a size 9, 10, 11, 12, they're going to have to fit their toes in here. They're going to have to scrunch in like this, and then they're going to have a hard time running because their feet don't fit in the shoes properly. What I found is that the golf industry has primarily catered to someone who's my size, 5'7", 5'8", to 5'10", right? If you're 6 feet or taller, or you have a bad back, or you have bad shoulder, or whatever it is, the standard type fitting methodology doesn't really fit for you. There's a category for you, and it's called adaptive physical education, okay? So, and the reason why I say that is because you need something a little bit different. If you shop at the big and tall store, if you shop at a place where you require a customization, then your clubs should be customized as well. So when I set up to hit a ball, in 2006, I qualified for the National Club Pro Championship. In 2008, I qualified for the National Club Pro Championship. My clubs were about standard length at the time. I practiced a lot. My desire was to get on the PGA Tour, so in 2008, I started going to Q School. I practiced long and hard, and what ended up happening was I ended up hurting my back. Right? And the reason why I ended up hurting my back was because with standard length clubs, I was bending over this much. And in order for me to strike the ball well, just like I demonstrated, I had to come through my impact space like this and hold that angle and hold my back. And that puts a tremendous amount of stress on your body. So between 2008 and 2010, I decided I'm going to go to clubs that are 1.5 inches longer than standard. I'm going to flatten the lie angle. I'm going to stand up a little bit taller so that from here I can make a simple move that actually turned out to be more powerful. I gained accuracy and distance and made it through all 3 stages of Q School and got my nationwide tour card. And I did that as a club professional. So I would spend all my time teaching. I would go work on my own game. I would make my little bit of refinements that I would do, and then I would go work on it. And I made it to the final stage of Q School because I felt like what I had found was something so simple that it didn't take a lot of work. And so now where I'm at is I have basically taken myself as a guinea pig and said, here is what I feel like is efficient, here is what is simple, here is what is ultimately refinable. Every year I feel like I'm going to get better as a player. Now, taking my teaching background, I also worked as a club fitter at Hot Sticks for over a year. I know all the technologies. I know TrackMan, I know Flight Scope, I know Foresight, all the launch monitors. I can spit out spin rates, I can spit out launch angles, I can spit out descent angles and apexes and all that with the best of them. What ultimately matters is, does the ball get in the hole the fastest? And can I, as a player, do something every day that doesn't take a lot of work? And can I refine it because it's that simple, right? So I'm going to hit a couple of shots just so that you can see the swing that I make. And my effort is minimal, right? So I take my setup. This is vertical. I'm going to tilt, let my arms hang. From here, I'm going to just go ahead and rotate my shoulders here to there, okay? As I make my swing, you saw my foot came up off the ground. That's actually just to relieve a little pressure on the follow-through. I can hit the same type of shot. We'll try it again. I'll do it flat-footed, just rotating my body. Okay? So I have the flexibility in my follow-through half of my swing to get all the way to here without lifting my foot up off the ground. The game is really simple. The club is designed perfectly to advance the ball in the air. The disconnect comes from when we as a golfer are trying to do 5 or 6 different things that are way too difficult and way too complicated, and we can't return the club to the ball the same way over and over again. So that's my challenge to everybody, is just to say, okay, I don't want to necessarily do what everybody else does. I want to swing my way. If I have to stand this way and I have to swing this way because it feels better on my body, then come to me and let's figure out what club fills that space, right? If you've got a lower back issue and every time you've been bending over, you're like, oh boy, that hurts. Oh boy, that hurts. Well, let's not hurt anymore. Let's stand at a position that you can sustain, and let's just fill the gap. It's a piece of steel connected to another piece of either graphite or steel with a little rubber case on the top of it. It's not that complicated, but it is perfectly designed to hit it well, as long as we kind of get out of the way a little bit. So I'm going to open up just a few questions. That was more just my theory on how the body fits the motion and then how the club attaches to the body. I'm sure there's some questions out there about swing weight or shaft flex or grip size, so just open it up. Just shout it out if you got a question. Yeah.